Thank you everyone for joining today's webinar. My name is Elise Garrick, and I am the Health and Wellness Coordinator at GBS Benefits. I'm also a certified health education specialist and a certified personal trainer. And today we're going to talk about incorporating intentional movement into your day in two ways, through mindless movement and mindful exercise. So for our health and wellness team's theme for 2023, it's the year of intention. And today specifically, we're going to be talking about movement. And hopefully this doesn't sound counterintuitive at first, mindless versus mindful, but we'll dive into all the details and provide explanation as to why these are important, what the benefits are, and how you can incorporate them into your life. So our brief agenda for the day. First, we're going to identify the problem or why you even care about this topic. Then we'll talk about what is mindless movement, what is mindful movement, how to incorporate both types into your routine. And then in the last few minutes, we're going to talk about developing movement habits and some techniques surrounding that. So the problem. A growing amount of evidence suggests that a sedentary lifestyle plays a large role in the rise of multiple chronic diseases. So things like cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, stroke, things like that. And that's just, a combination of factors, but largely due to the technological advancements that we've seen within the past 50 years, making our lives a lot easier, creating labor-saving devices, but in turn, that also reduces physical activity and energy expenditure. So definitely some pros and cons there. Things that we don't have to work as hard to do, that's great, but also we're not receiving the same amount of physical activity that people did 100 years ago. And the guidelines for adults for exercise is 150 minutes of moderate intensity physical activity per week. Only about 28% of people in the US are actually hitting those guidelines due to a lot of factors. I mean, I'm not going to blame anyone here with busy schedules, kids, pets, work, trying to find a place to go exercise, finding an exercise that you enjoy, relying completely on motivation. There are a lot of good reasons people have for not getting enough movement or exercise into their day. But I kind of want to switch our mindsets today. So instead of focusing on that specific guideline of 150 minutes and trying to break that down, divide it between the days, figure out how many minutes we need, I want to flip your mindset today to talk about creating mindless and mindful movement as part of your lifestyle, part of your identity. So reframe those guidelines into, I'm a person who moves every day. I am an active individual. I choose to do these things because I enjoy them. And with that, there is good news, because as we make that part of our lifestyle, it can help reduce the risk we talked about earlier for those chronic diseases. And now I want to talk about a specific group of people that has done a really good job of making this part of their daily lifestyle. So the Ikarians in Ikaria, Greece, if you've been following along with the GBS Health and Wellness Healthy Habits last year and this year, this may sound familiar. So Ikaria, Greece is one of the 5 blue zones identified in the world. And a blue zone is an area in the world that has a really high percentage of centenarians, or people who live to be 100 years old or older. And within these 5 areas, researchers were curious, okay, what do these people have in common? What parts of their lifestyle can we incorporate ourselves so that we can maybe receive some of these same benefits? And they discovered about 9 commonalities that they have within each of these 5 blue zones. Specifically, we're going to talk about one that they've named Move Naturally. So in Ikaria, Greece, they move very naturally and mindlessly throughout their day. It's just part of who they are. They live in a really rocky, mountainous landscape. And rather than planning 30 minutes or an hour to go to the gym to exercise every day, They just consistently move, remain active by gardening or yard work or walking throughout the village, walking to see family and friends, and have really honed in this mindful movement practice. So let's talk a little bit more about that, because obviously that's very specific to the environment, the terrain there, that a lot of us don't have that opportunity where we live. So let's talk about how we can make this helpful for us in our daily lives. So what is mindless movement? Again, this is just activity that you don't need to allot separate time for. You can just conveniently fit it into your daily tasks. Ideally, it's something that you like doing. So it's not something you dread because you know you have to go to the gym later today to work out, but it's an activity that you do on the daily basis just because you want to. Some benefits here include improved sleep, increased productivity, enhanced mental health, and reduced stress levels. Let's talk through some different ways that we can incorporate this during the day. So a lot of us work at a desk or maybe in an office, and these tips will hopefully just give you an idea of how you can get some extra movement, some extra steps in. The first one here is requesting walking meetings. So not every meeting requires a slide deck, but rather it's simply to sync up with your coworkers or your manager. So if it's a nice day outside, maybe you can suggest going outside, connecting that way. It's a great way to keep working and get your blood flowing throughout the day. Eating your lunch outdoors. Look up if there are any local parks nearby that you can walk to, or is there a grassy area or bench outside your workplace that you can sit and eat lunch, and that kind of naturally helps you move more, maybe take a lap around the building. And if you plan on doing this, try to avoid looking at your phone the whole time, but just try to unplug and enjoy that part of your day. Focus on what you see, what you hear. That can also really help boost your productivity levels as well. Schedule walking breaks. You should already be taking breaks throughout the day. So instead of just taking a minute to scroll on your phone, how about you get up and you take a lap around the building, or you go see a friend across the office, or you take the long way to the bathroom, whatever it is, just get up and get moving throughout the day, stretch. And then also think about parking strategically. So this will go hand in hand with the next tip, because if you park a little bit further away, it just gives you an opportunity to spend some more time outdoors, enjoy the sunshine. And if you have the opportunity to bike or walk to work, that's another great way. I know not everybody has that opportunity. So maybe consider looking up some public transportation nearby that maybe drops you off a block or two away from your office. Maybe consider parking a block or two away from the office and getting in a morning walk, an afternoon walk, taking some time to reset and focus can not only help you physically, but mentally as well. And most of these do require some sort of plan ahead of time. So if you really want to gain something valuable from this webinar and you want to incorporate some of these things, you're going to have to sit down and think about, okay, what days am I going to eat lunch outside today? Or do I have any upcoming meetings that could potentially be a good opportunity to have a walking meeting? So keep that in mind as well. Some things that we can do at home. You can create a hiking or a walking group, or if you have a dog, you're probably already taking your dog out, walking your dog, biking with family or friends, gardening. This may seem like such a simple thing, but if you get outside and do things like gardening or mowing the lawn or cleaning, those simple chores can increase the amount of steps you take, increase the amount of movement you get during the day. And me personally, I enjoy cleaning. I know that that sounds silly, but I like seeing that task and how it very visibly manages itself as I put things away. So that's something that I enjoy, but also can help me, move throughout my house as I put things away. And my biggest tip here is just trying to find things that you enjoy. If you don't like biking, then you're not going to be doing that, and you're not going to be incorporating that in your routine. It's just not going to stick. So you need to find something that works for you. It's going to be different for everyone. But if none of these things are really resonating with you, my biggest tip here is to focus on building relationships and creating memories. And then hopefully that will help you eventually enjoy what you're participating in. For example, I have twin boys, they are 2, and they love going to the park. And so we go to the park almost every day. We walk to the park, I push them on the swings, they go down the slides with them. And not every day do I feel like doing that. That isn't something that I necessarily love to do, that I just can't wait to go to the park. But I love spending time with my boys and creating those memories. And over time, that has kind of taken over this thought of, sure, yeah, that'll be a great way to get in some extra exercise. But now it's more, I enjoy spending this much time with my boys and doing something that they love. So trying thinking about it from that point of view can be really helpful as well. Some last additional tips here. Are you aware of how many hours you spend sitting each day? Maybe you think that you spend a lot less time sitting than you actually do. So take a minute and think through that, start tracking that. That can be really motivating to just take those small walking breaks around the office. Some other things, wash your car by hand. That's a really easy, fun thing to do with kids, especially as the weather's getting warm. Carry your groceries instead of pushing a cart if you can. Take the long way to the water cooler or the bathroom at the office. Go walk to a coworker's desk instead of emailing or calling them. I mean, be mindful, you don't want to be bugging them all day long, but every once in a while, that is another great way. So just try to think of little things that you can do to incorporate that. And planning more purposeful activities into your day can also be very rejuvenating. An evening bike ride or a visit to a neighbor or a nearby park. Those bigger things, even though they don't sound quite as mindless or move naturally, can help you get started boosting your movement throughout the day and just starting your routine off right. So now we're going to talk about mindful movement and how they're connected and how they're different. So mindful movement is really focused on listening to your body to create awareness. So it's bringing awareness to your thoughts, your feelings, how your body is feeling, and living mindfully in general is something that we want to encourage people to do. So specifically with movement, it allows you to check in with your body, get moving in a way that helps you lower stress, release stagnant energy, and strengthen your mind and body connection. But a mindful exercise could be any type of thing. It could be just focusing on living in the present, being in the moment, again, checking in with your thoughts, your feelings, your environment. You can make anything a mindfulness exercise. Earlier this year, we talked about in our Healthy Habits materials, mindful cooking, mindful eating, taking time to think about the ingredients, the process, the flavors, the sensations. You could even do it on your drive to or from work, just enjoying your surroundings, taking a minute to appreciate that. But specifically, we're going to talk about movement and exercise. So here are some tips for your next exercise or workout. And I know that this is a little contradictory because we just talked about mindless exercise that is supposed to be, randomly throughout your day, not very particularly scheduled or that you have to set time apart. But I want you to consider, as we talk through each of these suggestions, how you can apply that to mindless exercise as well. Because moving mindfully can be, all of these principles can be applied to taking a lap around the office, like we talked about. So the first one here is pause and consider your intention. So what would you like to gain from your exercise or your movement today? Whether your goal is to be stronger or enhance your endurance. Maybe it's to navigate your emotions, and exercising is a really great way for you to do that. Or gain more energy. Try to remember that purpose and allow it to motivate you. Maybe with mindless movement, I just feel a lot more sluggish when I sit all day, and I don't like feeling that way. So that's going to be my purpose, my reminder for moving throughout the day. The next one is to unplug and be fully present during your movement and workout. A lot of people turn on a show or a playlist or a podcast, just to kind of get you through the exercise, and that's totally understandable. But maybe think about once a week, turning that off and seeing how your focus changes to how your body is moving, how your body feels. Renewing your resolve. So one of the attitudes or concepts behind mindfulness is acceptance, not wishing that the present moment be any different than it is. And exercising is a perfect time to do this. So do you notice any resistance during your workout experience? Perhaps you're wishing that you were almost done, or you're noticing that your legs are shaking as you're doing your last squat. Try to commit to your workout time. This is the scheduled time that you've given yourself to emotionally release things, to allow your body to get stronger, whatever that purpose is. So commit to that time. Try to stay present from start to finish. Next, we have tap into body sensations. So bring your attention to the physical experience. Does your body feel different than it did yesterday? Do you notice that your breathing is getting easier as you run a mile every day? Or can you feel which muscles you're using, which muscles are tight, where you need to stretch? And then the last one is exercise kindness. So notice the quality of your thoughts during your workouts and during your movement. Can you appreciate your current ability, your current speed, your current endurance, just as you are? Or if you're working out in a group setting, can you try to let go of the comparison mindset and instead just thank yourself for showing up and moving your body? And again, if you don't like exercising, or if you don't like going to the gym, I want to encourage you to utilize these principles in your everyday movement. Even playing with your kids, stop and think how grateful you are that you can move your body and you can go up and down the slide with your kids and create those memories. I do have a QR code here. If you want to scan this, you'll receive this flyer, and this flyer goes into more depth of what we just talked about, turning your physical exercise into a mindfulness exercise. And it gives a little description there at the top, goes through all of those points that we just talked about, and can be a good starting place to look at when you want to incorporate these things into your routine. Okay, lastly, I want to talk about creating habits, creating a system. So this quote is from James Clear, and he wrote Atomic Habits. He said, "You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fail to the level of your systems." So basically he's saying that your goals are not going to be enough to motivate change, but you need to simplify the process. You need to make it as easy as you can. So as you try to make new habit changes, as you try to eliminate habits, it is as seamless as possible. And in his book, he separates his book into 4 laws. And by implementing these laws, he teaches you how to remove barriers and create positive behavior change. So we're going to run through each of those 4 laws and the inverse. We're going to talk about some examples with movement specifically. So the first law is to make it obvious. This is in regards to a cue. It's very visual. So if you're trying to incorporate more movement into your day, can you leave your bike helmet by the door, for example? That's a very visual cue that triggers you to think, oh, maybe I could ride my bike to or from work or after work. Another really obvious one is leaving your lunch or part of your lunch in the car. That sounds silly, but then you have to go and walk to your car if you want to eat lunch. That's a very easy and obvious decision. Making it attractive. So this is associated with a reward. How is this something that you're going to enjoy doing? So a brief example here maybe is when I take 2 laps around the building, I can scroll on my phone for 2 minutes. Or however many laps I take around the building is how many minutes I get to scroll on my phone for my 10-minute break. Whatever it is, it could be very simple, very easy. You could even just try to switch your mindset from have to get to. So I have to work out today, or I have to move today. Instead, it could be, I get to work today, I get to work out today, I get to move today, and I'm thankful for that. That's a very easy switch there. Make it easy. Think about some of the barriers that you face or that you commonly think to yourself, but I can't do this because, for example, maybe you don't want to go on a walk during lunch or go on a walking meeting because you're wearing uncomfortable shoes. Very simple fix here is bring comfortable shoes, leave them in your car or at your desk, problem solved. And then the last one, make it satisfying. So make it enjoyable. Again, maybe you want to invite a friend or a coworker to join you so that you can chat or be social during that time, if that's something that you really value. Or maybe you want to plug in a podcast for 5 minutes while you're walking, and that's something that you really value. Try to make it enjoyable. And the inverse is also true for breaking a habit. So if you want to break a bad habit, take all of these 4 laws and switch them. So the first one was make it obvious, and the inverse is make it invisible. Let's say you have a habit of as soon as you get home from work, you sit down on the couch and you turn on the TV. And it's just something that's really automatic, just like when you open your phone, you always go to that one certain app without even thinking about it. Consider moving your TV remote farther away or in a different spot. So when you get home, it isn't the very first reaction that you have. That can be a really easy way to just make it invisible, make it a little bit harder. Make it unattractive. So again, think of your mindset here. Maybe it's sitting all day is making me feel sluggish and tired. That's the mindset I'm changing here. So I want to avoid those things. And so I'm going to incorporate some more movement into my day. Make it difficult. This is another silly example, but if you have a standing desk or if you have something that can help you exercise or get movement throughout the day, just think about how you can make it difficult to do the opposite. So moving your chair a little bit further away makes it so you want to stand more at your desk. A silly example, but it's something that works for me. And then lastly, make it unsatisfying. Find an accountability partner. Maybe it's the same person that you want to use to make it satisfying, make it fun because you like that social aspect. You could also utilize them to help you keep accountable for your actions. Maybe you make a deal with them that if you don't reach a certain amount of steps or if you don't do a certain amount of movement, you have to pay them $5. Whatever it is, something small like that can also just be used as a consequence instead of a reward. So in summary, incorporating mindless and mindful movement reduces risk for a variety of chronic diseases, improves mental health, sleep, and productivity. Again, I want to encourage you to think about making this part of your identity. This is, again, an idea that comes from James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, is making whatever change you want to be part of your identity. I am an active person. I am a person that moves every day. I am a happy person. You can expand on that in any aspect or any habit that you want to create. And then the last one is find things that you enjoy doing and do them often. Again, if some of these tips didn't resonate with you, or if all of these ideas of starting a walking club or biking sound terrible, that's okay because we're all different and we all have different preferences. But I want to encourage you to find things that you enjoy, even if they're small steps at first, that's totally fine, but do them often. It's important that you find happiness through movement as well. So find things that you enjoy doing and do them often. And that is all I have for you, but I am very happy to take questions. If anyone has any questions or comments that they want to either drop in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself, that's totally fine too. Oh, I see, let's see. What is the name of the book again? It's Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's a really good one. We read it as a team this year. We definitely recommend it. Let's see. Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining. I'm going to go back just a few slides to that QR code again, just in case anyone wants to scan that. And if, again, you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A. Thanks, everyone. I hope you have a great day.